It's the bye week, and the question is it time to hit the panic button on Auburn football?
Midweek report coming at you guys, brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in Opelika or if you're in Birmingham and you're looking to get some rage out about what we're seeing from Auburn football 5 weeks into the 2025 season, the Rage Room might be the place for you to be. Visit them in Opelika at 1510 2nd Ave, or if you're in Birmingham, 2616 7th Ave South. Throw some axes, bust some windshields, break some baby car seats. Get your frustration out constructively with our friends at the Rage Room. You guys already know the deal. Sign up as a patron member. Patron memberships are going up, Ike. We want to see them go higher, and you can help with that. Ike has been on the road. You've hit every road game so far this year, haven't you?
So far, so good.
Has not missed a single one. You can help keep Ike out on the road by signing up as a patron. Live reports from the field, having somebody in the room at the press conferences. It's all very, very valuable to your War Report patron experience. So sign on up, join our game day experience as well. We've been having a lot of fun and a lot of misery together here on game days, but our Green Name Gang is having the most fun. You can join them by hitting that join button. You can also help somebody else join by hitting that gifted membership button. We appreciate our Green Name Gang for helping us grow our Green Name Gang. Guys, give the gift of the War Report. Let's see if we can let's be aggressive. It's the bye week. Like, there's no game. Let's see if we can get 100 memberships given away tonight. 100. I know that's aggressive. That'll be a War Report live stream record, as a matter of fact. But I think we can do it. Help us on out, guys. Let's give the gift of the War Report to somebody today. Want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER. Get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop could be the place for you. Our guy, Richard, longtime sponsor of the show. Dropping a little some extra in there for everybody using code REPORT today. We appreciate him for sponsoring this segment. Also want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Need a smoke shop that's always close by? Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City. So whether you're cruising down Airport Thruway, rolling along Victory Drive, or making a pit stop on the 280 bypass, they've got a spot ready for you. From vapes to tobacco and everything in between, Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for good vibes and great deals. Swing through today. Chances are they're already on your way. And our friend is at AIM and Associates. That's Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. Markets go up, markets go down. What matters is having experienced professionals guiding your investments through every cycle. Abel's Iron Moore and Associates have been doing just that since 2003. They currently manage over $200 million in assets for clients in more than 25 states and 2 foreign countries. Their service is personal and tailored to help you pursue your goals and protect what you've built. If you're looking for a team of fiduciary advisors with experience and discipline to manage your investments with care, call AIMA at 912-777-4128. Again, that's 912-777-4128, or visit AIMAINC.com today. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron Moore Associates. Abel's Iron Moore and Associates is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Sounds like a good tagline for Auburn football headed into the bye week there. We hope. But anyway, let's start the show.
All right. Let's start it off with some good news. Stephen Pearl was proud to announce after their pro day that everybody is coming back for the basketball team this season. Nobody's hitting the transfer portal, so everybody can stop panicking about whether or not Bruce Pearl's absence for the 25-26 season is going to result in players leaving before the season starts.
Yeah, he gets 1 year. He gets 1 year to show why he's the guy. I get it. I mean, I know Auburn signed him to a 5-year deal, but for these players, Auburn basketball is home. I don't think a lot changes under Stephen Pearl, honestly. The staff is remaining intact. It's business as usual. I know some of these guys haven't been on campus a whole year yet, but I am happy. I'm both proud and happy for Stephen Pearl. I think this is a good move for him. I think it's a good move for Auburn, and hopefully it works out in the long run.
Yeah. So I'll talk more about that on the Lobtown episode. For those of you who are thirsting for basketball conversation, I'll make sure I get into that. But we got to talk football, man. I mean, it's football season. I know a lot of people want to move on to something else, but let's be clear. There are 12 games in the football season, and Auburn has only played 5 of them. They've won 3. And so there are plenty of games left to be played out here on said football field. The question is it time to hit the panic button? Let me be clear about what I mean when I say hit the panic button. For me, the panic button means we got to fire people and we got to make drastic changes, right?
Okay.
If you are in panic mode, my question is on a scale from 1 being I'm very concerned because it's all panicky, right? But I'm very concerned, but I'm willing to wait before I flip out, to a 5, which is fire everybody and cleanse the system. Go old school biblical God and wipe it all out. Push the button. Let's go. Where are you, Mike G? Scale of 1 to 5.
Oh, well, we didn't have a press conference this week, but we did
not. Well, he had his midweek press conference that he did.
Yeah.
Teleconference, yeah.
Said a couple things on that, Ike, that sound eerily familiar to.
He did. Do you want to address these comments? Because before you give your panic, because let's talk about these comments, because I think all of this weighs in.
Yeah.
The most concerning thing for me, is that, again, we're talking about carrying too much into a week for the offense, and maybe we need to strip it down.
Playbook. Yep.
And I'm just like, bro, again? Why are we here again? Why are we here? Why not here? 5 games into the season, and we're talking about reducing what we're taking in on the playbook. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can't be concerned by that comment. Again, what it preceded last year was a whole lot of frustration at the ends of games. And the way I'm looking at it is this was supposed to be the year that you had it all together. Why can't you execute? Because you can't go the talent route this time. There's too much happening, and the dichotomy between what the defense is and what the offense is points to coaching.
Yes, 100%.
They're not having a problem on the defensive side with the guys are developing. It may not be perfect, but it is good enough to win games. So far, the defense has turned in a performance good enough to win every single football game Auburn has played this year. You're 3-2. So in the 2 that you lost, you're telling me that defense didn't play well enough to beat Oklahoma and Texas A&M?
Yeah, no, that's just not a factual statement.
I challenge anybody in the comments to try to sell to me that this defense has not played well enough for Auburn to win every single football game they played. We cannot say the same for the offense. And you were willing to accept the boom or bustiness of what the Oklahoma game was because they hit enough of those big plays, right? And Cam Coleman to Jackson Arnold, to Cam Coleman seemed to be developing very well, and they were a couple missed throws away from winning that game. I left that game really upset at that the refs inserted themselves into the outcome, but also still kind of hopeful that, hey, if this is the floor, refs can't get you every game.
Right.
Auburn should be good. Then you
They
go
found a
out
new
to College
floor.
Station. Yeah, all right. Then you go out to College Station. And I'm happy for you. I'm like, man, Ike's getting to go to College Station. That's one of the few places in the SEC I have not been. And it was all right. I don't think Oklahoma defense is I know Oklahoma's defense is better than Texas A&M's. I don't think they're going to be able to. Texas A&M is going to be able to do to Auburn what Oklahoma did. But Ike, Auburn did it to themselves. That's the biggest issue I have. It's not that Texas A&M played some great defensive game. Auburn did it to themselves. The scheme looked poor. They suddenly just Horatio Fields gets hurt and they just run back to 12 personnel. I'm very concerned that Perry Thompson appears to not be developing. I'm not putting that on Perry. I'm worried. Is Damari Alston being punished for being hurt? Why did he have 2 carries? Why did Jeremiah Cobb only have 6? Why did Jackson Arnold have more than double the rushing attempts than both the running backs combined? Or close to. That's system. People came at me game after week the first 2 years saying, oh, Mike, it doesn't matter what system you run if the players can't execute. I'm like, no. Look deeper. There's a deeper issue here. The system appears to not be making guys better offensively. You just kind of are what you are. And who can you point at offensively since Hugh Freeze has come to the Plains and says that guy is a much better player than when he came in?
On the offensive side of the football, I can't say.
Come on, man. Yeah. The fact that one doesn't jump off the page, you might be able to, you'd have to sit here and think about it, certainly. But the fact that one doesn't jump off in 2.5 years is concerning. I don't know that, like, Keandre Lambert-Smith went from 600 yards to 900 yards, but I'm not sure that's Auburn. It's just Keandre.
Here's what I will say, and here's where I agree with you about your system comments. For whatever reason, I don't know and you and I have had this conversation off of camera multiple times. This is not the same Hugh Freeze that has been Hugh Freeze every other place where he is coached. It's not the same guy. I look at the way in which he calls plays. He's not running the tempo offense that he used to run. It used to be primarily RPO stuff. He's not doing that. I don't understand what it is that has made this man come to Auburn and abandon all of the stuff that made him the guy Auburn wanted to hire. He changed his personality. He changed his play calling style. He changed the aggressiveness in which he played. He does not do any of the stuff that made him the Hugh Freeze that people wanted to see. The only thing he brought with him is his ability to recruit.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff, he left that in freaking Liberty. I don't know why.
Where's the Malik Willis story? Where's that? Because I'm telling you, he said when he got hired, he said, I do 2 things well. I turn programs around quickly and we develop quarterbacks. You turned recruiting around.
Right.
But I would not, it's not turning around on the scoreboard in wins and losses. Who cares? You're getting out-developed by teams with much less talent. I felt bad for Sam Pittman this week. For all intents and purposes, man, I don't know him personally, but I can tell you, I know people who know him. He's a great guy. I will not be rooting for anything Bobby Petrino puts his hands on. I can tell you that. He is not a good guy. And I get that the cutthroat nature of the business. Part of the problem in Arkansas was there were too many cooks in the kitchen and the resources were not there the way they needed to be for Travis Williams to build the type of defense that he wanted to build. It just wasn't there for T. Will. Auburn has they've got all the resources.
Yeah.
It is there.
Yeah.
It's there for him. And I'm having a big issue with the fact that you've got all these resources available to you. Bruce Pearl has been begging for it for years and years and years. And now he's retiring after taking Auburn to 2 Final Fours in 6 years without getting all the things he asked for. Most specifically, he wanted a men's basketball only training facility.
Right.
Give me one good reason why he shouldn't have it. The reason is that money went to football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to say that there's a
brand
very
new
good reason.
scoreboards, 2 brand new scoreboards.
Yeah.
We have spent like $70 million on screens for football. Cabanas, premium seating areas, all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, this guy's making Final Fours and still not. And when I sat down with Stephen Pearl last offseason, before the season started, we were right there on the practice court. And he said, we're near the bottom of the SEC and what we're doing in NIL. That's crazy for the success that they've had. I feel like on the basketball side, they've been victims of their own success. You have done with less, so we don't need to give you more. But on the football side, that you just keep pouring and pouring in, hoping that with more, he'll be able to do more.
I mean, he almost doesn't have a choice, though, right? Like you almost don't have a choice but to finance the football program because that is going to be your cash cow. So you can't let your cash cow starve. No matter how good this other cow is over here performing, it will never the only way basketball could potentially outperform football is if you built a much larger basketball arena and then you were able to sell more tickets. But that feels unsustainable with the history of what not just Auburn is, but what the Southeastern Conference is in basketball versus football. In order to survive in this climate, you have to feed the football program. That is where you make your money. Like I don't know that while I agree with you that the basketball team has earned some leverage in getting more money out of this program, out of this athletic department, you can't survive in this climate as Auburn University without feeding the football.
Well, right.
program.
My argument isn't that they shouldn't get resources.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree. There's literally no reason to go put an extra scoreboard over there when you could have given that money to basketball. The football stadium didn't need that.
I don't have a problem.
You didn't need a new light show for halftime and fourth quarter.
Do all that. Do it. My point is that you've gotten everything you asked for, but what fans aren't getting are dubs.
Correct. I agree. Yeah, you're not the return on the investment as far as wins on the field is not manifesting.
Yeah, it's not matched the investment. That's my only point. I was just using basketball as a barometer for here's a program that is getting some of what they asked for, but they still haven't gotten a lot of things they asked for, but it hasn't stopped them from going out and developing kids and, it's now become a tradition for Auburn to put somebody in the first round of the NBA draft.
Yeah.
A new basketball facility is nice, but man, you can bounce that ball in practice almost anywhere. That's the beauty of the game of basketball, hooping the ball in the court. Like, that's the beauty of sports in America. A field, some grass, and some kids who just want to run and have fun and use their God-given athletic abilities to play the game of football. You're getting all that. And then what we're getting is a team that, if not for a fluky interception, wouldn't have scored a single touchdown versus Texas A&M.
Yeah.
The floor can't be no touchdowns, Ike. It cannot be. This is what an accountability. Now it's time to call people to the table for what they're supposed to be accountable for. Now, if this sounds like I'm going on a fire Hugh Freeze rant, that's I'm not there. But what I am saying is, I don't want to hear the excuses. Just go out and win.
So
we're running out of ways to ask the same question as at these press
This is a great question, though, right? Like, because his last press conference after the Texas A&M game is indicative of this. He was like, I don't know what else you want me to say, right? Like, at some point in time, and he's acknowledging it himself, you guys keep asking me questions. That's the only reason I keep producing answers. It's because you're asking me questions. I'm sick of saying this stuff too. I really am. Like, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but here's the things that we need to do better. I get it. But like, what else is he supposed to do? Like, he's required to get up in front of the media pretty much 3 times a week, right? He's going to go up there in a pregame. He's going to go and he's going to do his midweek teleconference, and he's going to go and do a postgame. 3 times a week, he's got to have the conversations. Until he wins, nobody really cares what he says in any of those things.
Yeah, we've got to ask the questions, but ultimately what it comes down to is you've just got to win. I posted this up. I think I don't know if I sent it to you, so I don't know if you saw it, but I'll read it again. I posted this to my Twitter. It's something that we talked about on the show, but I thought that this comment, I on Twitter, I blanked out the name because I didn't want to like halfway dox whoever left the comment. Some people use their real names in their YouTube, so like, if you can go to YouTube and see who the user is. But this commenter said, for the first time as a family, we had the opportunity both financially and physically to buy season tickets for the past 2 seasons because my job brought us.
You didn't send it to me, but I did see it. Go ahead.
Brought us close to Auburn. Couldn't wait for my kids to experience Auburn football for themselves like I did as a kid. Yet my kids have experienced nothing but disappointment and disillusionment. Never pretended for a moment that they would win a national championship, but sure was hoping for just a little success, especially with the money that we have forked out. No way we will continue to spend money towards a program that continues to digress. Wow.
And he is the person who said that is not a singular narrative of people who have said to themselves, I feel like I can't keep giving money to this and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem that you're facing right now. So let me circle back to the question. 1 to 5. Where are you, man?
I'm the 3.5. Yeah, right. Because here's the deal. The whole season is really still in front of you.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, from a very technical standpoint, your whole season is in front of you, Ike. You've only lost 2 games.
Yes.
But where you are right now, essentially needing what is going to appear to be a miracle to beat Georgia. I don't care if it's at home. It's tough. I've talked repeatedly about what happens when a school and a fan base and a locker room loses hope. That's when coaches get fired. When there is no hope. They fired Brian Harsin when it looked like there was no hope. And all the people who didn't want Brian Harsin, they were pissed when he went 6-2 going into November. I don't care where you're at on what, coach, but I'll never root against the kids.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of folks sitting around here hoping Hugh Freeze fails. And I'm like, but, it's not just him that's going down, man. The kids are the ones who take the worst of it. So I don't want that. So I'm rooting for Hugh. However, he's got to get it together, man. Like right now, it feels like he's the thing that's got this glass ceiling over Auburn. It's a coaching thing. It's not a talent thing. And it was not. I'm going to choose my words carefully here because every time I say something close to this, there's a whole message board thread with people calling me, remedial.
Hey, screw the message board. Say what you got to say, bro.
I have last year wasn't as much of a talent issue as it was being made out to be. Same with the year before that. There were a lot of talented kids on that team, And there was no reason for Auburn to lose to Maryland in that bowl game. Not really. There was no good reason for Auburn to have 2 straight losing seasons to start Hugh Freeze's career at Auburn. None. I
I
don't
agree.
care if it was 6-6 you're finishing the season with. There was
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's not a universe where they should have lost to New Mexico State that first season.
none.
There's not a
0.
universe in which you should have lost that Cal game or that Arkansas game in the second season. Like you were better than both of those teams. You were more talented than a scrappy Vanderbilt team that you lost to.
Yep.
You should have won those games. You should have won the Missouri game. You had that game won. You had the Oklahoma game won.
So let me take
None of those teams beat you because you weren't talented enough to win those games. That is what you're saying, essentially. Yeah. That ain't got nothing to do with talent.
Let me take you back to that moment where you and I were in Nashville. Auburn basketball had just pulled off. They just beat the crap out of Florida to win the SEC basketball tournament. And I ran into Hugh. I said, Coach, when can fans expect your next SEC championship? He said, I need 2 more recruiting classes. He said that the portal is great, but high school is still the way to build a long-term sustainable winner. Now, what do we know about high school guys? They take 2 or 3 years to develop. So by year 3, you should start to see the fruition of that recruiting. I don't like how much Jackson Arnold slander is out there right now. I don't think Jackson is the problem with this football team. Could he be getting rid of the ball quicker? Sure. But
yeah, I'm about to say he is not the problem. That's where my problem exists is there's multiple issues that need to be fixed, but continue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's easy and it's to look at quarterback. There was another comment that was that we got on one of our videos recently, Ike, where essentially the commenter was saying, I get that it's trendy to pile on Hugh, but blah, blah, blah. And I was like, anybody's following no damn trends. It's year 3.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that commenter is more so talking about kind of the proliferation of there's a lot of people doing it right now, including fans that are saying, hey, it's time to get rid of. I mean, that is not a localized narrative, right? Whether or not people feel like it's justified or not.
Do you want people to talk about?
I mean, there's a lot of things that you could talk about. I don't know that the conversation has to go to fire Hugh Freeze after game 5 of the season.
Well, no, but my point is the pile on Hugh Freeze.
Well, that pile is including people saying fire him.
Sure, but it's all fair because that's what he's earned.
I don't agree that he's earned fire him after game 5 slander.
What I'm saying is at where Auburn football is right now, all those conversations being open from whatever end of the spectrum is fair. It is absolutely fair. You have been relative to the investment and the time and the support you've been given for the floor to be as low offensively as what we saw in College Station. You want people to talk about something else? Don't do that. In my response to Bruce Pearl, it wasn't that they lost. It's how they lost.
Not disagreeing with any of that. I agree that it is a absolutely fair conversation to say we should not be in this place at this time.
We shouldn't look this bad offensively.
That's a fair I don't anybody who has critiques for Auburn football right now as to what they think the season might pan out to be, where they feel like the offense is right now, whether or not they need to make some shakeups in who's starting at what positions, maybe what coaches are talking about certain things. I think all of those are fair conversations. My agreement with the commenter is it seems as if everybody has said to themselves, it can't possibly get any better. Cut bait right now. And listen, let's be clear. And I took a lot of heat for this when I did it. I was in this exact same position, right or wrong, about Brian Harsin. I was not in the fire him in the midseason conversation until after they went out there and looked like crap versus Arkansas. I was like, yeah, I don't. We're like after the bye week, you come back looking like this, bro. Like we gotta figure something else
and
out.
Brian Harsin was given a year and a half. Right.
Yeah,
So,
like, listen, the
so
Harsin thing is a completely different conversation as to why
yeah,
that wasn't a good fit and why it
Bo
made
gets hurt.
sense.
Yeah, like I mean, but for Hugh though, for what we're talking about with Hugh Freeze, it where you're at right now, again, not that you lost, how you lost. It's about your floor. It is about your floor. It is about playing down to the moment, seemingly offensively.
Agreed.
Right? Your defense, 2 weeks straight on the road, has given you the ball back with like 3 minutes to score a touchdown and win the game. And
Couldn't
Auburn
get a
could not
first down.
generate a first down.
Couldn't get a first down. It's
You want
terrible.
us to talk about something different? Don't do that. You want me to buy the it's close argument? Move the ball down the field and at least let's have a shot at the end zone to win the game. You told the whole world that an NFL scout told you you have 6 offensive linemen that will receive draftable grades. Auburn leads the league in sacks given up on the quarterback. So either that dude lied to you or something else is wrong that's not as much on the players.
I don't know. Them sacks, the amount of sacks, a little bit on the players.
Okay,
Again,
but you brought these guys in. You worked with these guys. You're supposed to have a system that
no
develops and teaches
disagreement on
these
that.
guys,
No
right?
disagreement
So
on that.
it all rolls back to you in year 3. Now, if we're talking about what you were left, okay, this isn't what you were left. This is what you built. You built this.
Yeah, you're not getting any disagreement from me
Yeah, and
whatsoever. In
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to general. I'm just saying, like, it's one thing to say we built a house and the nail failed. It's another thing to pick up a bucket of bad nails and build a house with it. And if you don't know that those nails are faulty at some point during the building process, that's on you. You build houses. The house you're supposed to be building in year 3 should pass inspection, man. I fear Auburn football is in a place that when the inspector comes through, you know how it is. You've been around construction before. The markup list is way too long.
Yeah,
Looks
and that's where
shiny and
my
new.
problem is. Like, what do you fix first? I mean, honestly, we can talk about that more on the other side of the break. But it is absolutely looking as if you've got a straw house right now, and everybody out here looking like the big bad wolf,
Yeah,
and that is a problem.
Yeah, you don't want people to talk about this. Again, you got to win games. Feinbaum asked me. Everybody keeps asking me, how do you change the narrative around football? And it's just win. It's win. Yeah, it's one thing because you can win ugly. Georgia gave up a ton of points to Tennessee. They looked terrible at some points during that game defensively, but they came out with the dub. At the end of the day, they're talking about wins. Then they lose to Alabama, and you're not left with a feeling of hopelessness. Their whole season is still in front of them, the same way Auburn's is in front of them. But if the floor for Georgia is we lose by 3 points to Alabama, or we win a crazy game where we give up a bunch of points on the road at Tennessee and Knoxville in front of 110,000 or however many they seat there, you've got a whole lot of hope still left. And what I'm reading in these comments is the hope going out of the room for a lot of people. I can't say I blame them. It's year 3. You've been watching this for 2.5 years, and when it feels like the same story, it's at some point you're telling yourself as a fan, am I delusioning myself by thinking that this can be consistently better? Because it's short. They could go out and beat Georgia next week. A win against Georgia will not give me hope, though, that they won't flop versus Vandy or Arkansas. That's what you showed me at A&M. If the floor is we can't run the ball on a team that everybody ran the ball on, and we wouldn't and barely score a touchdown. If this is the ride we're going to be on for the rest of the Hugh Freeze tenure, when do we get off that floor and get to a place where it is not conscionable to think that an Auburn football team could play 4 quarters of football and almost not score a touchdown? So if you're this guy that doesn't want to buy season tickets, I get it. The only way to tell the people who make the decisions that what I'm seeing is not acceptable is to talk with your money. You keep showing up. You keep doing, I mean, they just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Hugh Freeze needs to feel the urgency that the fans feel right now. And I think there's some questions, both privately and publicly, about whether he truly feels the urgency of this moment. He should have felt it this offseason. I want him to coach like his job is on the line this week. That's what I want to see. I want to see what Hugh Freeze does when his back is up against the wall. Win or be fired. Because you know what? Billy Napier was there at some point at Florida last season. Look, he still might get the X, but
I was about to say he sunk right back into it after he got off the wall.
My brother coached with that cloud hanging over him most of the season. They went out, they did what they had to do, and the AD came out and gave him a vote of confidence. John Cohen has put his weight behind Hugh Freeze. I need Hugh to reward John's faith. And yes, I'm saying Hugh because right now, for me, the problem, the difference between 5-0 Auburn and 3-2 Auburn right now is coaching. I don't think it has shit to do with a talent gap, though. Not here, not now. These kids are too good.
Again, too good. I will partially agree with you. It's definitely not a talent gap, but there's some execution issues in here as well. Let's get to the break.
Everybody's got them.
Yeah,
who's the perfect team in the SEC right now?
It's not about. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not talking about perfect. There is a wide gap between being perfect and how Auburn is executing. And again, I'm not saying that lack of execution doesn't go back to how it's being prepared from coaches, but some of this stuff is like, bro, like this is stuff y'all should. Yeah, you shouldn't have to be coached to understand if 7 guys line up here along the line of scrimmage and there's only 1 guy over here on this side and we got 3 players. Like some of this stuff that's not you're not executing properly. That ain't coaching. Some of that stuff is stuff you should know. So you should know if I'm back here in the pocket for 2.5 seconds, my clock is running out. I need to either get rid of the football or get out of here. You shouldn't, as a 3rd-year collegiate football player who was part of the Elite 11, one of the best quarterbacks that came out of your high school, you should know that already. Like that's not coaching that puts you in a position where you're paralyzed to get rid of the football.
Yeah, sure, but that's a nail, and you picked the nail. You keep picking the same nail.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. Like you keep coming back to things to like say as if you're like I'm disagreeing. I'm saying you're blaming the coaching on the execution, and I'm saying some of that is actually execution. Now, that's why I think it's a valid conversation to say, is this fixable for this guy, or do I need to get a new guy in here to do this? Right? Like I just had my garage, case in point, last December, my garage was messed up. Garage door wouldn't lift up because the torsion rods were coming off of the spool. Figured that it was the little spring was malfunctioning, which made the motor bust, right? So I had somebody come out here and fix my garage. He put the wrong spring on the garage. Less than a year later, having the exact same issue. We caught it this time before the motor messed up. But he had to come out here and he had to refit it with a new spring. New spring on there works completely. Everything else works completely fine. He had to change out one piece. The question that Hugh Freeze needs to evaluate right now is Is everything really okay? And I just need to swap out this one piece and it's going to run like it's supposed to. Maybe it's not going to be perfect, but it'll at least lift this garage door up and down every single time like it's supposed to when I hit the button. Is there a cog in here that we can go and swap out and at least make this functional until maybe I can order a new garage door opener or whatever? I don't know. But they got to figure that out during this bye week. Anyway, we got to get to a break. I want to get to the other side of this and get some of these comments because there are a lot of them piling up here. If you have not hit this like button, which there are over 200 of you in violation right now because there's over 200 people in here and there's only 51 likes. That is criminal. You need to go hit this like button right now. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. You are watching the Midweek Report. Like the video, share the video, comments if you haven't already. We'll get to those comments in just a minute.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
You guys already know the deal. Go ahead and sign up for a patron membership. It's hot in here. It's hot on Auburn football right now. Stay engaged with the conversation by joining as a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate our Green Name gang. Always engaged, always keeping it fresh. And help us grow that community by hitting that gifted membership button. We asked for 100. How many we got, Ike? I think like 27?
Something like that.
25, 26, 27. I think we got 27 signs. Let's see if we can get, what's that? What's math me? 72 more? We need 73 more. We need about 70. Let's get 70 extra memberships given away here before the end of the show. We appreciate that. Guys, do us a favor. Check out our merch store, man. We got a lot of fly stuff there for you guys, especially the Born the Boog collection. Not a lot to book about right now, but there could be after if they go out and they beat Georgia and keep Auburn fans on the hook for another week. But this is, I've seen you guys wearing this stuff at Tiger Walk. We really appreciate everyone who visits the merch store today. So go on over to the merch store, get your War Report merch. And now check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio only content. The Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming channel. We are climbing the podcast charts, the War Report charts. So if you guys don't know this, there are not a lot of services that rank podcast right now. Right now, the War Report is a top 150 football podcast. We want to be top 50, and we need you to get there. So head on over to Apple, head on over to Spotify, leave a review, turn on automatic downloads, and just make sure you're subscribed from everywhere you possibly can. It helps us over there as well, too. The more that you guys do that, the bigger sponsors we get, and then you have to listen to a million ads every time you hear the show. So we're climbing the podcast charts. We appreciate you guys for helping us out on audio. I want to thank our friends at AIM and Associates. Many firms won't even talk to you unless you have a certain amount of money to invest. Abel's I Know More and Associates takes a different approach. There are no minimum account sizes because they believe disciplined investment management should be accessible to anyone ready to take their portfolio seriously. Their independent, fee-only model ensures your money is managed with your best interests in mind, nothing else. So whether you're just starting to invest or already managing significant assets, they'll meet you where you are. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com today. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I Know More and Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. One thing our friends at SetsForSociety.ai, visit them to get your custom personality assessment started. Want to be a better coworker, a better teammate, a better partner? Well, Sets for Society's custom personality assessments can help you get started on the journey to knowing yourself better so that you can function in all those roles to the max of your ability. Visit setsforsociety.ai to get your custom personality assessment started today. Costs you nothing to get started. They'll reach out and do the rest. We appreciate you guys for helping them out over there. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault could be the place for you. 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. My guy Steve Watkins serving up fresh cuts and beard trims for the community, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. I want to thank them for sponsoring this segment.
All right, let's get over here into these comments. I apologize. There are a lot of super chats. So if we don't get to your comment, because a lot of y'all are making really great comments that aren't super chats, but I got to honor the people who are putting the money up first. We'll start it off with 9-time champion who says, imagine if we could have found out that Freeze was an offensive bust prior to hiring him, like in an Oscar award winning movie. If Sandra Bullock tapped him on the shoulder, told him to run the ball, and his offense stinks. So saying that we should have known from the blind side that Coach Hugh Freeze wasn't going to come in here and run the football. I don't know that statistically this bears. This is all I've been saying. We've looked at the numbers exhaustively in the years in which Hugh Freeze has been successful, and the run-pass balance has always favored the run.
Yes.
I don't understand. That's what this is what I have to go back to. I don't get why he's become this coach at Auburn. His entire coaching history contradicts the last 2.5 seasons. It just does. There's nothing that you can point to in his history that says that this makes sense and is accurate to who he's been as a coach.
Yeah.
Regardless, like the only thing that has been consistent about him as a coach is he's gonna occasionally have a game where you're scratching your head. You don't know how you lost that game because you shouldn't have. But every other thing about Hugh Freeze is different. Why? That's my question. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't answer that either, man. It's tough. It's really tough. He one of the other things that he said on that teleconference today is that we got to get back to running the football. Okay, great. Let's do it.
Yeah, he said that multiple again. Yeah. I there's literally nothing he can say at this point in time that's going to matter until he wins a football game.
Yeah, just do it. We're 0-2 in the SEC, man. Start running the football.
Unpopular opinion from Anthony Long. The offense is so bad that it makes me think that Coach Hugh Freeze is trying to get fired purposefully, not running the ball. Come on, man.
It feels like coaching malpractice. And I'll tell you, this is where a lot of people are out, and this is where his want to is being questioned. You're saying it, so you're aware of it, but then you're not doing it. So, like, what are you doing? Right. I don't understand.
Listen, I think there has to be. I don't know. I'm gonna repeat myself. I don't understand. Heavy with the super chat says post-game streams have turned into venting and therapy sessions. That's what they're there for, Heavy. We appreciate you guys. That is therapeutic for y'all and us.
Yeah, but it should be. They should be celebration sessions. They should be.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. All you gotta do, you gotta deal with the results. We can't. We don't have nothing to do with the results.
That's
we
what
just
he's
react
saying.
to them.
He's saying he'd rather have a book session than a therapy.
I think everybody would. I would 100% prefer 8 more Baylor post-game reactions. Yeah, we get 8 more of them this season.
Yeah, it'll be a hell of a one if they can beat Georgia. I'll tell you that.
Jazzy says, instead of talking about football, let's talk about cricket, golf, or the DMV. The DMV. Why? He's like anything but football. I got you. Ben Bloodworth, is it too late to try letting him coach injured from hospital bed in the sky boxes? Yeah. No, actually, I think they can definitely try that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough that they're at where they're at right now because you are just searching for, and you're desperate for answers. People are desperate for answers at this point. And I can't stress enough. We always said get 1 out of the first 3. I thought you get 1 road game in the SEC, right? Make it Oklahoma or Texas A&M. Defend home, beat one of those teams on the road. but you just did not want to be in this place where you needed to beat Georgia to go 4-2. We're barely into October, man. You haven't played a game in October yet, and it feels like the season is hanging on the brink. You got to beat a good team, and make no mistake, this would be the signature win. The lack of one
Oh, for
that,
sure.
that we keep saying, this would be it. So if
Yeah.
you're going to pull a rabbit out of your hat, now's the time to do it.
9-time champion back with a mid-court women's basketball season tickets cost $80, insanely low. Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't cost a lot to support women's basketball, and
it'll get lower than that
listen,
too.
I've had few conversations with Coach LV, but every one of them I've felt like he's a stand-up dude. Heard nothing but good things about him. So go out there and support Auburn women's basketball this upcoming season. They might surprise you. I don't know what your expectations are, so I don't know if it's going to be easy or difficult to surprise you. Felix, a member for 16 months. He's been with the War Report a lot longer than that. Membership, maybe not, but definitely been on board with us for a while. Can we agree that if we lose 3 games, it's over?
I think
It's
this
not
is more of
over,
a
but if you
timing
lose this 3rd game, it's going to
thing.
feel like
Yeah. Yeah, if you're 0-3 to start your your SEC slate,
it's going to take a lot to
yeah,
overcome that.
yeah. I mean, that's now you're out of the national picture. A loss this weekend takes Auburn out of the national picture.
Franklin, we should call Chucky before Halloween for insurance purposes. I like Hugh, but damn, just let him be a glorified recruiter. Player retention is key.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like, when you say call him to do what? What are you gonna do with Hugh Freeze and keep the recruit? I don't know how this works.
According to John Cohen, player retention is about money at this juncture. That's what he said. He said, "Look, man, we spent a lot of money, a lot of recruiting dollars on keeping the roster together, rather than going out and getting new players. So if you're frustrated with where 2026 recruiting is at, they're spending more money on retention over acquisition, which I certainly understand. That's the name of the game. But now the pocketbooks is opened, as it seems that it's more of a soft cap than a hard cap. At this point, if you're running the dollars through your collective, man, getting the talent through the door, he was already a talented recruiter coming in. When you put the financial backing behind him, he can almost go out and get whoever he wants. If you need Cam Newton, you go get Cam Newton, man. I just spend the dollars on that one transformational player you don't have to coach up, that will just go out and win. I think that was the thing that was so impressive about Cam, right? Guys like Cam and Joe Burrow, it just didn't matter what the matchup was. They were going to find a way to win. Jaden Daniels, like those types of players, they're rare. But, man, when you get them, it feels like your whole playbook is open, because there's nothing they can't do even when things fall apart. You need that guy, go get that guy.
Yeah, but those guys don't just fall in your lap. Like, there's a lot that's going to have to go into that. And even if you think you have that guy, he might not turn out to be that guy, right?
Yeah,
Like, so.
well, I would argue that sometimes, like, you luck into those plays. They do kind of fall in your lap, right?
Well,
Like,
I guess my point is, let me just say they don't fall into your lap. It is more luck than it is talent. Like, now, some people have a keen eye for just figuring it out, right? But getting the quarterback position right is not like, everybody thought Jackson Arnold was going to be the guy. Everybody thought that Nico, I'm gonna leave you on the side of the road, was going to be the guy. Everybody thought Cade Klubnik was going to be the guy. Everybody thought that what's the dude's name up at Penn State was going to be the guy. They couldn't stop talking about how good they thought Arch Manning was going to be before this season. Evaluating quarterback is tough, and some people get it right more often than they get it wrong, but
most people
get it wrong a lot.
Most people get it wrong. Yeah, like
a lot.
Like I said, fine. It was UCF fans are so funny. They are traumatized over Gus not playing Castellanos at UCF, and then absolutely cooking people with that same player at Florida State. I died reading some of those chats. Just funny, man. I mean, at one school he didn't think he was the starter. At the other school, he's cooking with him. I don't know.
Well, listen, that's kind of par for the course for Gus, which is let somebody else kind of develop him, and then once I see he's good, bring him over here and put him in my system.
Exactly.
Because then I'll know how to use him.
Yeah. He's let me see what he's got first. But identifying it from the jump, never really his thing. I just wonder,
because let's be clear, he wasn't the guy that went out there and got Cam Newton.
Well, isn't that, since we're going to this age of, like, we're going to a pro model when it comes to the money, I don't see what's wrong with going the pro model when it comes to personnel management as well, too. Right? There are not a lot of coaches that are like that are completely in charge of who you draft and free agents and stuff. You hire GMs that have a unique ability to be able to go out and get and identify players, and and then you give the coach the guys that he's going to work with, and you say, here's your guy. If that's what Hugh needs at certain positions, I guess, like, we put a whole committee together to find a coach. Why not put a committee together to find the right quarterback, or come up with a board of guys?
Quarterbacks make and break systems, man. You find the right guy in listen. I think Jerry Kill is a good coach. I think they've got a great system going on over there in Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia he's the guy, though, right? Like, it doesn't work without Diego. So you got to have the right guy in the system. The system can be phenomenal. You get the wrong guy running it, though, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter about any of that other stuff.
Yeah, I would say that there are rare circumstances, revolutionary circumstances, where you have coaches that have adaptable systems to whatever guy it is they do get. So they may not be able to win a championship, but they're absolutely going to get the most out of whoever they have in that position. And that's, I would settle for that. Right now, does anybody think that Hugh Freeze is getting the most he can be getting out of Jackson Arnold right now? I don't know that I believe that he's getting the most out of Jackson right now. And so, how much of where Auburn is limited is on player or on coach. That's where a lot of the frustration that people come. You told us for 2 years it was player, but now they're your players. So if it's still having the same problems, the only other place to go is to coach and coaching. I've got or talent identification and development.
Yeah,
it's multifaceted, man. They've just got to get better at all of it.
Felix, so if we go 7-5, Hugh stays. I don't know, and we lose kids. Yeah, I mean, Mike has been consistent on this. He thinks you got to get to 8.
You got to get to 8. I'm sorry. At 7-5, you lost too many. You lost. There's an inexplicable loss, Felix, at 7-5.
So I mean, let's play that out, right? Like, what is the loss on this season that would be the 5th loss that you feel like is the one where it's like, bro, you shouldn't have lost this one, right? Because right now, Missouri and Vanderbilt look like good teams. So you would have to lose Georgia, get you the 3 losses. Bama gets you the 4. Missouri and Vandy are both good teams. That's 5-6 right there. What's the inexplicable loss that you could lose 5 games on this schedule with the way Missouri and Vanderbilt are playing and still look good?
Georgia, right? And you lose to Alabama.
You're at 4 losses.
All right. Missouri is at home.
Right.
I don't know.
I
think we can all agree losing to Arkansas, Vanderbilt, or Kentucky to me would be inexplicable. I don't care. I don't care what you say about where Vanderbilt's at. There's just no world where Auburn is not more talented all the way. They're a better team maybe than most Vanderbilt teams have been, but any loss to Vanderbilt is always going to be inexplicable to me. So you just put them on the list there. And I still have a belief that Auburn is a much better team from a talent perspective than Missouri as well, too. Have you got that game at home? I would like to see that be a dub. Right. So, I don't know. And inexplicable doesn't always it's a combination of things as well, too. It's not just who the opponent is. Right. It's how you lose it.
I mean,
And who
I
the
would
opponent is.
I'd argue this Texas A&M loss was inexplicable, bro.
It
Like,
was
you
pretty
saw what he was
inexplicable.
doing.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of sting off of it because they were highly ranked and whatever. But if you lose like that at home to Missouri, to me that's inexplicable.
Okay, I can get with you on that.
I'm just you can't do that, and it doesn't. It feels like where this team is at, that's not off the table. I hate
No,
that.
I agree. If they go out there and play the way that they did versus Texas A&M, there is not a team not named Mercer that can't beat Auburn playing like that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I just whenever if you're going to go up and down based on whatever the competition is for the week, it's hard. There was a comment here by Wesley. I don't know if we started, but I did want to get back to it, talking about the defense and how many yards Auburn gave up to A&M.
I don't know. Well, I don't think I started, but let me get through the rest of these super chats. And we still got quite a few left. Ben Bloodworth says it's year 3 and the only star player Hugh Freeze has created is Diego Pavia.
That's
Ouch.
Funny. Ouch. That's funny.
Ronte says no blame is on the O-line. This is Freeze. It's coaching. I can't go to 0 with you. I'm not going to put all the blame on the offensive line. I can't get all the way to 0 with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is where I know a lot of people don't like the conversation, but Jake Thornton, man, I'm calling you to the table. Your group is massively underperforming.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's just I can't get to 0. I can get to it ain't all the way the offensive line's fault because I don't think that that's true. The offensive line has actually run blocked fairly well, which again why the play calling conversation is squarely in the bullseye as well, because it's like, so the one thing that they're doing well, you decide to do that less.
Right. Yeah, they look worse because you keep doing the thing that they're worse at.
Right. So I'm just like, the play calling definitely is on the table for a conversation of like, what are we doing here? But how utterly terrible they look pass blocking is where you were just like, yo, like,
what did they do?
Y'all just blind. Like, it's 7 people lined up here. There's 4 or 5 offensive linemen. Let's do a little math. Okay, that means we should only have 1 unblocked person if we assign the running back to this guy. Quarterback's responsible for our free rusher. Like, again, I'm not a mathematician, but I did do fairly well in math. I know how to add, bro. And I'm like, dude, this is not adding up, man. It's just not. Is this being coached this poorly, or you guys just executing it this? Like, you can't be getting fooled with the same stuff over and over again, bro. So anyway, Lance Morgan, win or walk is all he should be thinking about right now. Speaking of Hugh Freeze,
I agree 100%. Coach like your job is on the line every game for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Hugh, the problem that I have with John Cohen's stance on Hugh is that it feels like there's no end to the rope he's willing to give him. And you've already got fans coming out in droves saying, I can't justify spending money on this product continuously. So if you're John, you can't afford to be there. And if you're a fan, your only control you have to exercise over this situation is just to say, I may watch them on TV, but I ain't showing up. I'm not dragging my family down to Auburn and spending $1,000 on gas and food and tickets for this. As consumers, we got to talk with our money. There's a lot of power in a boycott.
I feel you. Ben Bloodworth, biggest signal that Freeze will not change is losing to New Mexico State at Liberty, 49-14. Then again at Auburn, 39-10. Then again, Vandy, 17-7. He doesn't learn.
Yeah, it's kind of been the story of the Hugh Freeze coaching, journey is that great win, inexplicable loss. Great win, you know what I mean? Beat Saban, lose to Vanderbilt, right? These are things he's done prior to Auburn. So you knew that when you hired him. I think maybe there was a belief that with the talent he would be able to acquire here, that
he could avoid those falls.
Yes, correct. Yeah. The answer to that question right now is no. Yeah.
Jazzy, Hugh would put the same spring on there again, going back to my metaphor
No, it
about
was good. Look, man, it's a good analogy. It's a good
yeah,
analogy,
listen.
right? But
And let's be clear, I left out the part where he came back and he tried to fix it and put the same type of spring on it again, thinking maybe it was just a faulty spring, and he realized, oh no, I need to change the spring completely. So there was a visit in between where he got it wrong again before he was like, nah, we got to take this part completely out of here.
we measured it wrong twice.
Yeah. Ambitious engineer, I challenge everyone to take a deeper look into Freeze's QB development past. Malik Willis was an elite SEC athlete that transferred to Liberty. He was far superior than the competition Liberty faced. So yes, being an elite athlete is one thing. You can be an elite athlete and still go to a program like Liberty and not be successful. Like that's just that being an elite SEC athlete does not mean you're going to be successful. It wasn't just because let's be clear, NFL scouts looked at Malik and said he's a 3rd round draft pick, not just because he had elite SEC talent. Like he was actually making good decisions with the football. He was actually going out there because the RPO scheme that everybody keeps screaming is so outdated and doesn't work. Malik was running it to perfection at times, making the right decisions with whether or not to keep the ball, whether or not to hand it off, whether or not to throw this fake. It's not just simply a virtue of him being talented that allowed him to make those decisions. He was coached to be able to do that. And he took it more seriously. Again, I'm not saying this feels like I'm trying to defend Hugh Freeze too much because I feel like everybody's just leaning into stuff. And I hate when y'all put me in this position where I got to defend stuff when I'm supposed to be mad. But you're making me do this. But I understand the frustration completely. I just don't know that it's that. I would not go that far.
Well,
More
they had,
Dank Eagle.
they had the COVID shortened season, right, for Malik at Liberty, where he was 64%. He threw for 2,253 yards and 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He followed that up in 2021 with a 61.4% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. So, look, in that season, he was in that second season, he was sacked a astounding 51 times. They gave up 51 sacks on Malik Willis.
Yeah.
And he still found a relative level of success. So I would argue that O-line wasn't great. Now, you guys hear us talk about this under pressure stat quite a bit. Anything over 30 is really bad. If you're giving up a 30% pressure rate on your quarterback, Ike, you and I have talked repeatedly about how otherworldly Bryce Young had to be while Alabama gave up a 38% pressure rate on him. He carried that Bama offense for 2 years behind a line that just let him down. Malik Willis, 36.7% while he was at Liberty. So in some ways, he was very elite to put up the type of numbers that he did behind that sort of line play. I don't care what level of football you're at, man. If you're constantly running for your life like that, and you're still putting up numbers, you're in a special level. You're a special level of talent, and you could argue that he under that he made that situation more than the situation made him. If that makes sense. Like if you're giving up that much pressure, and he's putting up numbers, he's making plays for you. He's making plays. Your system isn't designed to give up a bunch of pressure on a quarterback, right? So I don't know. Like, where is it would just be nice if Auburn could put the two together.
I mean, I would love it. I'd love to see it.
But it's been literally undefeated when they have put a good O-line that could run block behind Jason Campbell, undefeated. You did it for Cam Newton, undefeated, Heisman, national championship. Right? You did it for Nick Marshall. He almost did it. And Nick Marshall wasn't the reason they lost. Gus was the reason they lost that national title game. You did it for Jarrett Stidham. He almost got you there. 2017 Auburn, man, was one win away from the college football playoff. If they could have done it for Bo, I would argue They in 2019, maybe they're in the conversation with that defense that they had. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just get the right guy in here. I get it. I think you said it right, like earlier in the show. Finding the right guy sometimes is a lot of luck, but it would just be nice, man, if they got good at just picking the right guy instead of
Yeah, I
having.
mean, listen,
Hope he just kind of falls. To you.
I think the issues are, again, I'm not blaming the offensive line, but I think a lot of it has to do with how well you block up stuff as to whether or not it's going to work well. And they've just got to get better in that facet of making sure they understand what they're doing up front. Wardang Eagle Freeze has proven he can't develop, can't play call, can't adapt, and soon he won't be able to recruit. What does he even bring to the table?
Yeah, the recruiting's going to fall off at some point. Right.
I mean, listen, we talked about this all offseason as well. At some point in time, the results on the field have to matter to these young men, and they will start to, between retention and trying to get new guys in here. They're going to stop believing in the vision that you're selling and saying, yeah, I heard that last season. That's what you told Cam Coleman. That ain't work out for him. That's what you told Perry Thompson. That ain't work out for him.
Now, that's why you coach like your job is on the line next weekend against Georgia. Because Cohen was, man, when him and I had our one-on-one, he was adamant that he felt like, where Auburn was at in recruiting didn't have anything to do with the results on the field. That was not going to be true in a few weeks if they drop a couple more.
Yeah, agreed. Ben Bloodworth, Hugh Freeze starting to feel more like Hugh thawed and starting to smell. Ben is on a heater tonight.
Ben is quietly like real, like Ben is a smart guy.
Yeah, he is.
Ben will build you a computer.
Anthony Long says, I hear you about the QB, Ike. It's hard to see Kiffin find QBs in the lost and found, and they get on the field and ball. We can't find a QB for Ish on the Plains. That's one thing that I will give Lane Kiffin. Y'all know I don't give him much credit at all for anything. He can find a QB.
He can find a QB, but again, when you put the identification and development together, he's doing both. He's got a long track record of doing both. By the averages,
I don't know. Well, maybe
he should have.
I think he's a good play caller. I don't know about development.
Like, I mean, it's. I just think he's good at both. I think he's above average at both. And so they've been able to maintain a level of success because whoever he's got at the helm seems to be able to always play at a level well enough for them to compete in most games.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there on the development conversation. I think he identifies well, and I think he play calls well. Those are things I think Lane Kiffin is really good at, above average at both of those things. Jazzy Joe, Mercer is going to beat us with Vandy's next QB. That's funny and sad at the same time.
It's a tough conversation.
Heavy, I say trash the RPO. It might work for teams that have players that played together for a couple of years, but I don't think it works with the constant rotation of new players. I don't agree with that, but hey, listen, I'm not mad at it. I just want to see a system that works. I'm not sold on it has to be the RPA. I don't really care what the system is.
Yeah.
Franklin, we need to weigh our options at head coach while the job is still attractive. Does a better job with a roster and family like this currently exist elsewhere? No, I'd argue that there's not a family like the Auburn family out there that will support you through the dark times the way Auburn does anywhere. Tennessee might be the only place I could think of that's similar.
We need to weigh our options for head coach while the job is still attractive. I would say one of my arguments for holding on to Freeze through next season would be keeping the job attractive, because coaching is a very tight fraternity. I need everybody to understand that. No matter what you think about how these guys feel about each other, they all share in the stress that they have, that if you do not perform, you are out the door, and it is a cutthroat business. So when you get hired at a job, there's a special, I don't know, empathy I think they have for each other, in that your whole life could be just ripped out from under you mid-season. Think about it. Sam Pittman, they lost to a very good Notre Dame team. They got run, but I mean, he got handed his walking papers like right after the game. There's not a lot of coaches that don't have some empathy for that situation for Sam, understanding that he was fighting an uphill battle. Now you got to get it done at some point. You can't get beat the way that they got beat, and then think you're going to keep your job. But also, I would say Sam. How long has he been at Arkansas?
Well, it was like 8 seasons. I don't know.
Oh yeah. He got a long time to do the job. This narrative about like Auburn running through coaches is way overblown. I mean, Tuberville got 8 years.
He got 5 years. Excuse me. Started there in 2020. This was his
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years is a good amount of time. That's a good run at any school if you're not progressing, especially. So at some point, you have to decide whether or not you are happy with the result. Have we seen in 5 years? Have we seen the best that we're going to see from Sam? I would argue in 5 years, yes, you've probably seen the best you're going to see from that coach. If you're not on your way by year 3, which is why I think this is urgent for Auburn, you start to have to enter the realm of thinking that we may have seen the precipice of what this coach is going to be here.
We shall see. Forever Bankroll. We want a leader, not a loser.
Isn't that what they said about Chiswick right before he ran Auburn all the way to a national title in 2010? 5-19. We want a leader, not a loser.
Yeah. What was the O-line's grade last year, including transfers? The play calling and coaching regressed. It's coaching and scheming. Lou, Dylan Wade are good. I mean, listen, I don't even know that I have any answers as to why the offensive line is performing as poorly as it is. I'm not unwilling to say the offensive line coaching has been bad. Like that's not something that's off the table for me to say, man, they either they are coaching it wrong or guys are out there screwing it up. Because and again, I said this Sunday, my frustration is I've watched them do the things that they're doing poorly right now well versus Baylor. And it's not because these guys are executing it so much better in Oklahoma and in Texas A&M. They're just not doing the same stuff as an offensive. And that's where I'm just like, so I've seen you do this right. Why are you doing this wrong all of a sudden 2 weeks in a row? That was on the road. That was the first game of the season where you should have had less reps doing it. Why is it worse now?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Feels like a good time to plug the watch the film. I think you were working on a segment here for everybody to kind of see what's going on offensively. There, we put some of the film stuff behind the paywall, but we're going to get something out at least in short form for everybody to follow along to what we're talking about. It's one thing to talk about it and try to picture the replay in your head. It's another thing to sit down while somebody goes over it in slow-mo. You know, Ike does a great job at it. You know, there's a few guys. What's the guy, the old 49ers quarterback, the QB guy?
The QB school guy. I forgot what.
Yeah. QB school, and then Aaron Murray now is doing a really, really good job at it. Just breaking down quarterback play. He's very focused on quarterback, but the film study is really, really paints a picture for you, doesn't it? Like,
yes,
it changes the way you look at what happened when somebody stops and says, okay, here's what was supposed to happen here. Here was everybody's job. And here's how it turned out. Let's talk about why it turned out that way.
Yeah. Felix says it's just the way we lost those games hurts. I agree 100%. And this is something that we've been very consistent, I think, on this channel in talking about. The wins and losses matter. How you win and who you win against, and how you lose and who you lose against matters too. Like winning 8 games, or to the number that you said here, Mike, 7 games. Great. Tell me who your 5 losses were to, and how did you lose those games? Because that's going to tell me better how I feel about what direction this program is going. Now, again, I don't think there's any shame in losing on the road to Oklahoma and Texas A&M. So it's not just Auburn lost those games. It is you didn't move the football at all at Texas A&M. Not that you lost the game. Yes, would I still be pissed if Auburn had lost that game and scored 40 points? Because I'd be like, what the hell was the defense doing that entire game? But would I feel better about whether or not I think this defense could rebound? Or am I losing hope because it looks like the offense is inept again? That's the difference.
Yeah, but the losing hope because that's the story of Auburn over the last 25 years. It's been the struggle for consistent offense. You have, some schools do it the other way where they can score a bunch of points, but they couldn't stop a fly, right? For Auburn, it's been the opposite. It's when they've been able to find an offense, it just has looked championship level. And I'm almost in the camp of people who are calling for I don't want to hire another offensive head coach.
Yeah.
Hire a defensive guy and then let him go get a guy who he's just going to let run it and get out of the way.
Something got to work. Daniel Denny, I don't want Durkin as head coach. He was awful as a head coach. Daniel, I can point to a lot of guys that were not good at head coach that were in different situations and they changed it. So I wouldn't just say he was, because again, I think he was at Maryland for like a season and a half as a head coach. So, but again, listen, I ain't telling nobody who to like and dislike, because I will raise my hand and be one of the first people who was saying I was excited about the Hugh Freeze hire. And he's not proving your boy to be right now. You know what I mean? So I don't have no place to tell nobody about their feelings about a head coach.
I wasn't excited about it, but I wasn't like, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. I just thought, hey man, Auburn couldn't do better. That's how I felt. But
I don't know that they could have. That's kind of part of why I was like, okay, this is going to work, because I don't know where you getting better from. But anyway, slide protection only works in quick passing game. Offensive line struggle. Yes, I can't wait till we do the film session on this, where you can see it. I think it's a little too simplistic to say you got to stop, because I've seen a lot of people say you got to stop doing slide protection. You got to stop doing slide protection. Slide protection works if you slide it the right way. Slide it to the slide where the blitz is coming from, or you identify where the blitzer or where the free rusher is going to be coming from. You slide away from that, and then you roll the quarterback away on that side too. With it's not as black and white as don't do this, don't do that. There's a step after that that's not happening in some of these instances that makes it frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
Ant says minimum RPO, max drop back. Well, what is your strength? He's saying that's what Auburn's been doing. They're not doing a lot of RPO. They're doing a lot of drop back. And we know from what they said in preseason that they were struggling in the drop back game. So like doing more of that seems a little crazy, considering you're not getting blown out in these games and you have to drop back and pass a bunch in order to be able to stay in the games. I am not even joking when I say I would 100% have rather seen Texas A&M stop Auburn from running the ball 3 straight plays than watch them drop back and get into dropbacks over and over again in what was essentially a 2-score game, but ended up being a 1-score. I would have I'd rather just seen you just run the ball and get stopped in that way.
Yeah.
Grind says, I want Summerall, but I think DJ can keep the roster intact. Hugh's doing enough to save his job, and thinking change isn't needed is worst case. Talent is there. Talent conversations out the window. We've already said that. Like, we don't need to have a single other conversation about whether or not Auburn is talented enough to win football games. Let's just kick that out of there. All right. I think I got through them all, man. Golly, there was a lot of super chats there, and I appreciate everybody for wanting to jump in on the conversation. Appreciate Ben Bloodworth for the gifted memberships. Appreciate Jazzy Joe for the gifted memberships. Cedric Lacey coming back on board. Ricky Menendez coming back on board as a member. Appreciate all of y'all very much. Mike G, you said you were at 3.5 on the panic meter. If Mike G is Coach Hugh Freeze right now, and you can make one change before we get out of here, because our time is well spent, what's the first thing that you're doing right now to get this thing in or a change? If you got to go fix the garage door, what piece are you swapping out?
Yeah,
Offensive linemen, quarterback, coaches. What's
I'm
the one change?
I'm doing something with the offensive line. I'm just doing something with the offensive line. And if I had a 1B, again, just play calling, run the ball. It really is that simple. The formula that you used against Baylor should be the formula that you use the rest of the season. Run the ball, do not abandon the run, take your shots and put something in that gets the ball out of Jackson Arnold's hands quick and with timing. Relieve some pressure on your offensive line by making the quarterback be accurate and decisive. This whole thing where you drop back there and you're just hanging around waiting for guys to come open, that's not working for your O-line. It's not. And now you've got 2 games worth of film that just says pin your ears back and come after Auburn. Clog up the middle and just don't let Jackson Arnold escape between the tackles, and you should be okay. If you can force him to the outside and use your athletes on the edge to make plays on him when he runs.
Listen, hasn't been said enough. Give a bunch of credit to Oklahoma and Texas A&M for being disciplined enough to stick to that game plan and not let Jackson Arnold get loose, because that's the difference between what happened with Baylor and what happened in those 2 games. Is Baylor's defense got a little undisciplined and Jackson Arnold was able to find the creases. They didn't let him do that in those last 2 games, which means, okay, we got to adapt and figure something else out. And they haven't found their counterpunch yet.
Yeah, I'm in a place where it's just kind of put up or shut up at this point. And if you're not going to change anything, I expect a different result.
Yeah.
He borderline bragged about running the ball after Baylor. See, I can do it. That's not a flex. You're supposed to do, when it's working, you're supposed to stick with it. So, but you reverted to your worser, baser instincts in conference play. That first drive versus Baylor did not look great. Run, no, you know what I mean? No success. They didn't abandon it. They stuck with it. Eventually, somebody breaks out. We saw it versus Oklahoma with Jeremiah Cobb. Eventually, he busted one. It was like a 40-yarder or something like that. You can't,
like that,
you can't hold, you've got great athletes. You've got players. Put your faith in them and, let them go win their matchups. Give them a chance. I personally think that the system is holding back the talent at this point. There's no world where anybody's going to come out and say Cam Coleman is a bust. And Perry Thompson, same thing. I think he's just as good as an athlete as any at wide receiver in this league. The fact that he's in his 2nd year and it appears as if he has not made any progress towards being that strong 1B to Cam Coleman's 1A is crazy to me. What's going on with Auburn football is deeply ingrained, I think, in the offensive culture, and it all needs to be looked at and it all needs to be revamped. And if that's on Hugh, then that's on Hugh.
Right.
It's hard not, because if you have to admit that it's the head coach, then you might have to admit that it's time for a coaching change. Because is he going to change? We're not going to change the guy. The guy has to change himself.
Right. Or you got to get rid I think that's kind of where it begins and ends. If you're not going to make the changes needed, then I have to change the guy.
Yeah, that's it. Right. You and I have managed people in our corporate lives. When the employees that work for us don't do the right things long enough, eventually our bosses come to us and say, why isn't this employee doing what he's supposed to be doing? And if he continues in that, eventually it's looked at as a management issue. Now I have to look at you because the people under you are consistently not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I need a manager who will either get them up to snuff or fire them and get people in who will do the things that we need them to do. But if I don't do something about you, they're going to do something about me. That's the management world for centuries. So Hugh came in and he had some employees that weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, apparently, or didn't have the capability of doing it. And he told the world, wait until I get some good employees in here. Well, you got them. Cam Coleman's resume was star-studded. Could not have hired a better candidate. You told the world Jackson Arnold had that same kind of resume coming out of high school as well, too. So you're going to go snatch him. We've seen flashes of it. Perry Thompson, Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb. A lot of these guys could have hit the portal. They came back. The coach has got to hold up his end of the bargain. I like John Cohen, and I understand his position on Hugh Freeze. That was his hire. The primary function of the athletic director at every SEC school, not named Kentucky, is to hire and fire football coaches. You got one job. Hire the right guy at football coach. You get that hire wrong, it almost doesn't matter what you did in all the other sports. Now, what does John Cohen have under his belt? I think he got a new softball coach and he's got a new women's basketball coach. Neither of those things moved the needle at Auburn. The one hire he did make drives the emotional well-being of a fan base. Bruce Pearl came in and got some market share away from Auburn football. Hard thing to do, but he did it. Winning SEC championships, winning tournament championships, winning regular season crowns, making runs in the tournament to the Final Four, that'll do it. It's harder to do there, but he did it. We're not even to week 6, and you got Auburn fans saying, can't wait for basketball season. Come on, man. Everything school. You're supposed to be in everything school. Auburn made Hugh Freeze a wealthy man. Over $6 million a year, life-changing money that most people will never, ever see. Give us back excellence. But you cannot be left with this feeling like you got robbed. The fans have been amazing. Texas A&M last year, Ike, I'm telling you, running from end zone to end zone, 4 quarters, partied like it was the Super Bowl, rushed the field. I tried to get out to midfield. I could barely get back to the press room after. For win number 5 in November. That's the energy they're giving you. Give them something back, man. Figure out a way to beat Georgia. Figure out a way to get over yourself. Run the damn. I don't want to hear about. We should not hear another speech about how you got to get back to running the football. Just run the damn football. That's it. Period. And if you lose, you lose. So I feel your frustration. If you're in this chat right now and you're one of those people that are like, man, I don't know. I hear you. You're supposed to feel that way. That's part of what makes the fan base great. Is that they care enough to get upset. When you know that they're not doing the best that they could be doing. It is your job as the head coach to get the best out of every single one of those guys every Saturday. Defensively, they're waking up and they're pissing excellence. Offensively, they're just pissing. And they got talent better than that, man. The results can be better. The ceiling should be Baylor. The floor should not be what we've seen in these first two SEC games offensively. Even the same effort they gave at Oklahoma would have beat Texas A&M. It has to get better at some point. I don't want to have the conversation about changing coaches. I really don't. I don't want to have it. I don't want to go through another coaching search. Right? We had to go through Gus gone and then Harsin gone and freezing. I don't want to go through another 3 coaching searches, Ike, since we started this channel. No bueno. I don't want to be there. But I just don't know where else you go, because I'm not sure how much longer John Cohen is going to be able to defend these results. Not with the arguments that he used last year. He can't use those arguments this year. So what is going to be the message to the fan base when it's all said and done? When this season is over, what is he going to say to the Auburn family about what? I mean, they issued a whole. You see the thing he issued about after the Oklahoma game? We got cheated, man. Essentially, is what it said. Paraphrasing it. I feel it because he does. He feels like it's close. But he's got to be, at this point, he's got to be having a conversation with Hugh. He's like, look, man, I'm behind you, but also I got people I have to answer to. So if you don't start winning games, we got to have a different conversation I don't want to have. Figure it out. I can't tell you how to coach your team. I hired you. That was my job. Now you go coach it. Now you make sure that there are more W's than L's on that schedule by the end of the season. Your season starts again at Georgia, on the Plains against Georgia. Auburn should be feeling 0-0 going into Georgia. Start your season against Georgia next week. And start a new streak. Reset. Find a winning mindset in this bye week. Figure it out. Get those pads popping and practice whatever it takes to get guys to where they need to be here. And get it fixed now. Now, I said this Hugh Freeze's first year when he came in, when he was talking about the talent and all this stuff, I said you owe it to your team to give them the focus and attention that they deserve now, because there were guys on that team who aren't going to get another year of college football. They don't give a damn about your rebuild, man. This is their last chance to put something on the resume for the league or try to make it to the next level. And it's the same thing rings true. There are guys who will not play another snap of college football after this season. They don't get another year, Hugh. Win now. Figure it out next week. Get it turned around now. Because I promise you, they're feeling the pressure of time running out. And if they got to feel it, he should be feeling it. He absolutely should be feeling like time is running out. And if he doesn't, then I don't know if he cares enough to be able to have this job. If you're sitting here in year 3 and you're telling me that he is not stressed enough to feel like his job is on the line, I don't think he cares enough to have the honor of being the head football coach at Auburn University. What he is getting, what he is going, it doesn't hit. He is not more important than the guy who left the comment saying, "I don't know if I could I'm investing all this money to get my family down here." And what I'm asking in return is for some good memories for my kids. That's at the core of what we want Auburn to be. Create good memories, man. I was so sore about Gus. You know how sore about Gus I is because every year, me, Caesar, Deontay, and our other friend Rufaro, we had a guys trip, and the wives and girlfriends be damned. We had 1 week a year that we put aside where we would all take a trip. And during the BCS era, all we did was we got to wait, because if Auburn makes a national title game, we have like 3 weeks to plan a trip to wherever it's going to be. In 2013, we got that chance. And all the four of us wanted was to leave with the memory of seeing Auburn win a national title, and Gus took it from us. He had it. In the third quarter of that game in Pasadena, California, he just pissed it away. We forgot that. I remember sitting at the bar, hungry after walking 3 miles from the stadium, trying to get back to the car, thinking, man, we could have watched this at home. This sucks. This was an expensive trip to watch Auburn blow it the one time we got to make it. But what was more sad was I don't know if they'll make it back again in my lifetime. This could have been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now scale it down a bit. And what this commenter is saying is, forget a national championship. I just want to take my family to a home game that's epic, where they win. His experience is just as important as our national championship experience, because that's the best some people will ever get. Deliver that for them. Because when he gets fired, he's a millionaire and his family is set for life. But nobody is giving you back your Saturdays, your money that you spent. None of us get a refund. We don't get a buyout when Auburn loses. And it's harder for us to even run a business covering it. Because when you guys check out, who are we talking to? You want to know why the media is turning on you? That's why. Everyone's livelihood depends on you keeping Auburn relevant in football. So it is very personal. And if it wasn't personal, we could not do what we do for a living. Get it fixed now. Quit the excuses. Don't tell me about how you're going to plan to run the ball. Run the damn ball, Hugh. Win now. You ran some good players out of Auburn. I want to see him start making guys. There were guys who went on to the NFL last year that succeeded in spite of Hugh and not because of Hugh. And they need to start succeeding because of Hugh. Because I don't know how you hold on to these guys in the offseason. Like, if you go 5-7 again, what does this team look like if Auburn goes 5-7? I'm not sure there's enough hope in the locker room left, combined with money, to keep Cam Coleman when he can go someplace else, get a whole bag, and still win. There's not a single coach in the country that thinks that Cam Coleman is the problem with his offense. They're going to take him in a heartbeat. And they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure he leaves their school a first-round draft pick. We're not making alum for other coaches, man. Leave here. Bo got his degree, but Auburn can't claim his success. Oregon got that. The guy whose dad played here. No more. I'm frustrated myself. I'm frustrated for the fans because All of you deserve better. I've listened to what our media mates have had to say. Scathing. You remember how they turned on Brian Harsin. I don't know that any of them were ever in his boat at all. But it's interesting to see a lot of the guys start to give Hugh the Harsin treatment. Guys who were firmly in his corner when he got hired. You owe it back to the kids and the families that you made promises to when their kids committed to you. Honor their commitment, man, and do your best for them. I'm not sure that's happening right now. That you go out and you beat Georgia, then maybe we'll start talking about something else. And then once you turn that corner, don't go back. Charlie 5 had a point. I don't know if I'll leave you on this because I do want to get your thoughts at some point. That he said, I don't know how realistic it is for a coach to be a primary play caller and a head coach in today's college football. And it's a little harder for the offensive guys than it is for the defensive guys. But, the question may be, is it time for him to focus on recruiting and step away from play calling and just give the whole thing to Derek Nix or whoever? And let's see how that works. And if that guy isn't on staff, go get that guy. Because Hugh can recruit. So you absolutely want him here to get the talent in the door. But he doesn't have to be the guy that dials it up. You bring people in to evaluate players, man, maybe that somebody else needs to evaluate the staff and the processes and how they are running this thing on that side of the ball. Got to do better, man. It's got to do better. You're 0-0 at Georgia. Get it turned around now. That's it. The season is on the brink. I think I'm at a 5. I think I talked myself into a 5. It is burning, man. It's got to be urgent. It has to be urgent. So if a 5 is where it needs to be for everyone to feel the urgency of beating Georgia, then it's a 5 for me. That's it.
All right. Well, we got a couple of super chats and we are out of here. Heavy says Ike's therapist won't allow him to do watch the film this week. It wouldn't be productive. I am 100% doing watch the film. Don't worry about that. Felix says preach, Mike. Damn it. He did that. Appreciate Tiffany for jumping in with a few more memberships there. Mike G, we got to get out of here. Tell the people how they can support.
I appreciate everybody who gave away a membership. I think we got almost 50 given away today. So thank you so much for that. I want to thank our title sponsor, The Rage Room. You see the addresses on the screen. If you're in Opelika or Birmingham, please go visit them and get your rage out. Also, guys, sign up as a member. We appreciate everybody who continues to sign up. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Check us out on podcast, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. Love our podcast crew. Leave us a review, subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, do all the things, guys. We are a top 150 football podcast in the entire country. We want to be top 50. We can only do that with your support. So I know you guys like to watch us on YouTube, but listen to us on podcasts. Put some extra things out there on podcasts that I don't always say here on the YouTubes. It just hits different on audio. So I appreciate you guys for doing that. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. If you need a smoke shop that's always close by, Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and even in Phoenix City. So Airport Thruway, Victory Drive, 280 Bypass, they've got a spot ready for you. vapes, tobacco, everything in between. Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for good vibes and great deals. Swing through today. Chances are they're already on your way. Look, we'll be back at you guys tomorrow morning with the Auburn Express. Myself, my guy Jacob Goins is going to join the show to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we talked about today. And hopefully everybody feels the urgency for Georgia, guys. That's it for another great edition of the Midweek Report. We're out. And as always, War Eagle.